Hello and welcome to my channel In Search of Wonder. My name is Anne and it is time for our weekly wrap up. So this week I have a non-fiction book that was a 5-star read, a fiction book that was a 4-star read, and a fiction book that was a DNF. Plus a little bit of Christmas fun, our stocking stuffer tradition here at our house. You get a little sneak peek at that, and a little Christmas lights in our town on my husband's and my date night. Why was that so hard to say? Also, I feel like there was something else. Oh yes, my husband's light display on our house. He likes to go all out, so it grows every year, but it's pretty cool. So I'll share that with you too. Lots of Christmassy fun, and of course, all of the bookish fun coming right up. Okay, everybody, so this is me on Tuesday evening. The rest of the family is out shopping for stocking stuffers because we do this fun thing where we, kind of a tradition from my husband's family that we've adopted and adapted, where we put a little something, a very little something in each stocking every day, kind of like an Advent sort of thing, up until Christmas. So we don't have much in the way of stocking stuffers at the moment. So my husband took the boys to go do a little bit of shopping while I am finishing up dinner. We just came back from a basketball game, my son's first middle school basketball game of the year. So it was a hard game. And unfortunately, this lighting has me at a disadvantage here. I look hideous, but that's okay. And also, you can see my messy kitchen. Also okay. We're going with real life here because this is a minute that I have in a house to myself in relative peace and quiet, so I can give you a little quick update about what I have been reading and or not reading lately, as the case may be. To start with, what I am not reading. Oh yeah, you can see my Christmas tree over there. Where in heaven's name did I put that book? So, by the way, I'm sitting, I mean my phone is literally sitting in my cupboard where my oils are, you know, like my olive oil and MCT oil and vanilla and soy sauce and stuff. So, just thought you'd like to know that. Anyway, so I feel like I'm talking to my oils. It's kind of weird. Anyways, so I read this, Address of Violet Taffeta. What am I saying? I started reading it. I started reading this book and I hit about maybe 30%, 25-30%, and DNF'd it. Not because it was that awful, really. I have too many other good books in front of me that I want to read, and I don't have time to waste on something that I'm not loving, and I wasn't loving it. So I skimmed ahead a little bit, enough to realize that it wasn't going to improve anything in essentials enough that I would want to keep reading it. So, but it's based on a true story, and it's set in mostly in London in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and there's a lot about fashion in there, and it's about a woman who is, she went through an awful divorce. Her first husband was abusive and a drunkard and all of that kind of stuff. So she ended up divorcing him, but then she was left penniless with basically just their small townhome in London to live in. She was like having to let go of all of her staff because she couldn't afford to pay them. And she was left with one scullery maid. And she also, her elderly mother was dependent on her. So she had a 5-year-old daughter to support. So she had a very difficult time getting back on her feet, but she loved to design clothes. So she started her own design establishment. And what I did find interesting was kind of the whole dichotomy of being part of the ton of high society in London and yet striking out with a career, and the fine line that she had to walk in that to maintain her status so that she could garner the high-end customers that she needed to make her business successful. So that aspect was really very interesting to me. So put the Brussels sprouts in the pan here. So that was very interesting to me. I enjoyed that aspect of it. There was just, being about fashion, there was just a lot about a conversation about the feminine form and description, like detailed descriptions of it. And it was just a little awkward, frankly. It was just odd. Like, I read another book a few months back by Mimi Matthews that also, the guy in that one was a fashion designer, and that was a lot less weird. I don't know if it was the way she wrote it or what. I don't know. The words she used, the way she described it, or the fact that it was a man. I don't know. Anyways, I just didn't love that. And then there was a little bit of mild cussing. Very, very, very little. But if you stay away from that, just don't even pick that one up. But there was a little bit of mild cussing, and then there was some, there wasn't ever anything that I could see. Like I said, I skimmed through it. I didn't see any like graphic, intimate scenes of that kind of thing, but kind of, you know, mentions of it, implications of it, that kind of thing. So all of that together was like, there's not enough here to hold my interest and justify spending more time on this book, so I'm going to DNF it. So DNF that one, and then this morning I finished this one, Fervent, by Priscilla. Okay, somebody help me out. How do you say her last name? I guess I've never heard anybody say it, so I don't know how you say her last name. Shirer is what I'm gonna go with. Priscilla Shirer. This is really good. It is based on the ideas in the movie The War Room, which is a really good movie. If you have not seen it yet by chance, great movie. And the book was really good. I'm gonna be honest, as I was starting it, I was thinking to myself, okay, 3.5 stars. This is good. You know, I was reading it through. I was, you know, working through her suggestions for prayers on specific subjects, and not to burn the carrots. And I mean, it was good, but it wasn't really wowing me. But then as the more I got into it, I found myself like underlining more and being, you know, pondering more and thinking of things in perhaps a different way than I had really looked at them before. And so I was like, okay, it's creeping up to a 4 here, 4.5 stars, getting better. I was adjusting to her style, which is very conversational, but also a little bit, it's not really conversational because there's definitely a style there. There's a stylistic technique that she has that I wasn't loving initially. She likes to start sentences without a subject, like she starts it with the verb. And it just, I don't know, it was just jarring a little bit as a stylistic choice, but I think that maybe that's how she talks. I'm not sure. But anyways, that was a little bit jarring. But as it went on and I was, you know, getting into the meat of the book and really thinking through the ideas that she was presenting, I was really getting on board with it. And then this morning, as I only had 1 chapter left in the book to read prior to this morning, and something happened and I felt like, you know, she is onto something with this book. She is speaking truth here. So I'm giving this thing 5 stars. So first of all, before I tell you what happened, this book is obviously about prayer, but from a spiritual warfare perspective. So basically, it's not about praying specifically for the purpose of developing a relationship with God the Father, so much as it is using prayer as described in Ephesians chapter 6, right, with about the spiritual armor. And at the end of the whole list of spiritual armor, it says putting it all together with prayer, and prayer being the thing that really makes the armor work, makes the armor effective. So she's looking at it from that perspective, prayer as spiritual warfare. So seeing that, recognizing that Satan is your enemy. Here are his specific strategies to derail you from having a successfully spiritual life and a healthy spiritual life, to keep you from growing closer to the Father, to keep you from ministering to other people in love. These are the things that Satan is going to do to derail you and make you completely fail at this Christian walk. And then here are the ways that you need to pray specifically to counterattack Satan. So it's about spiritual warfare in prayer, which is a slightly different approach. I don't think I've read a book on prayer specifically looking at it from that perspective. And it definitely focuses only on that. So I've seen some reviews where it turned them off a little bit, because I think that maybe they wanted a more holistic view of prayer, but she's really honing in on spiritual warfare here. So that's at the outset. So as far as what happened this morning, in the wee hours of the morning, this morning, I woke up from a dream. And this is not the sort of thing that happens to me. Like, I don't even ever remember my dreams, first of all. I rarely remember what I dream when I wake up. But this dream woke me up. I dreamed that I was in a thrift store. So far, pretty typical. Nothing unusual there. But as I was going through the racks of clothes at this thrift store, there was this person next to me. Had the look of a female person, but my sense was that this was just an evil presence. It was just like malevolence emanating from this person next to me. And as I'm going through the racks of the thrift store, this person is not interacting with me at all. They're just there, and they're just flipping through the racks right next to me, but they're like sticking to me the whole way around. And the whole way in this dream, I feel evil coming from them. And in my dream, at some point, I got so fed up with this person that I just turned and looked at them and like screamed something at their face, like something along the lines of like, "Go away, you were evil, you were bad, get away from me, I don't want you following me," which is, not like me at all in real life. So it was a dream. So then shortly after that, I woke up and I still felt evil. I still felt the presence there where I was lying in my bed. And I was a little bit freaked out, but I just started praying in Jesus' name. And after praying for a minute or two, like, I felt at peace, and like I didn't feel that evil presence anymore. It was gone. And I was able to sleep a little bit after that, off and on, until the morning when I woke up. And then I still remembered that dream when I woke up, but unfortunately it didn't stick in my brain long enough, because as my boys and I were getting ready to go, I got frustrated with them because they were supposed to brush their teeth, but apparently they had used up the last tube of toothpaste that was in the bathroom. And so they just decided that they didn't need to brush their teeth. I mean, okay. It's a little frustrating, right? Like, you are 15 and 13 years old. You know you have to brush your teeth every morning. You also know where I keep the new toothpaste that you can replace the old tube with. It's literally right around the corner from the bathroom. It's not that hard. And so I got so mad. And let me tell you that the devil was there, and we all let him win, because over a stupid issue of toothpaste, we were literally like in each other's faces and shouting at each other. I mean, like, real and transparent here, guys. Please don't hate me. We were like in each other's faces and shouting at each other and being unkind, even me as the adult, because I was just like, how can you not know what to do? So eventually they found a clean, fresh tube of toothpaste. They brushed their teeth. And then my oldest son was the first to apologize, to be convicted and apologize. I was already convicted, but it took me a second. Well, I purposely wanted to wait till we were all sitting in the car and I could, like, look at them and give them a real and sincere and true apology from my heart. And so we apologized, we cleared the air, everything was good. We're fine the rest of the day. It's all fine now. Praise God for his grace and mercies that are new every morning, because we definitely need it around here. but it hit me. It hit me. So in my dream, I feel like that was a bit of a warning. Like, you have put the devil on the offensive here because you have suddenly gone on the offensive. And suddenly he's like, oh, she's just not sleeping on the job over there anymore. We've got to, start working on this girl, because pretty soon she's going to be more on fire for Jesus than she ever was. And we don't want that. Maybe even because I have a YouTube channel and, my little words might reach somebody who could really use it. I don't know. All I know was I had a little warning this morning with my dream, which, by the way, this is not the sort of thing that ever happens to me. So it's not like I the kind of person, who has like spiritual visions or dreams or anything. Like, I've never done that sort of thing. It's not really part of my spiritual practice at any point, but it happened this morning. I just know that for sure. And I feel like it was a warning to me. And then the first temptation I had, I just fell right for it, fell right into the devil's trap, and got sucked into the ridiculous argument with my children. And yeah, total fail on my part. But now, consequently, my guard is up, because now I see. And I was like, wow, applying the principles of prayer in this book has apparently woken up the sleeping bear, I guess. I don't know how you want to call it, what you want to say, but it has made the devil wake up and say, okay, we got to work a little harder on this girl. All right, guys, let's go. Let's make her fight over a stupid tube of toothpaste with her kids. So anyways, definitely going to stick with this. She suggests in the final chapter of using it as a reference. She has a lot of verses in here to pray through for specific topics, and I think that's a good idea until I have kind of like, because there's some verses that come readily to, there are a lot of verses that come readily to my mind, because I have a lot of verses that I remember and apply to specific things, but I just feel like I need a larger vocabulary of scripture to pray from. So, and she has a lot of verses here pulled for specific things that you want to pray about, whether it's like family and conflict, that sort of thing, or praying for unity in your church, or praying for when you feel pressure in your daily life. All sorts of things that I think all of us would identify with and relate to. So that was a lot of talking about this book, but I ended up giving it 5 stars on Goodreads. And yeah, that was that one for today. I am also working on The Belle of Belgrave Square by Mimi Matthews. This is also for Historathon 4.0. Have not gotten very far, but enjoying that one. And then, it smells like the chicken might be done. And then I am reading also a book, because I got it from the library on Kindle, and it is going to go back to the library in a week or two. So I need to make sure that I get it read before then, because it really interests me. It's Mystery of Mysteries, The Death and Life of Edgar Allan Poe. So far, I've only read through the first chapter, but I am reading that and finding it very interesting so far. He starts out by eliminating some of the myths that surround Edgar Allan Poe as a person, as a character that we often think of him as. So that's good. Clearing the air, so he can start getting to the nitty-gritty of what his life and death really were like. So that is my reading life so far, and now I really think I need to get the chicken out of the oven, and I'm sure my family will be home soon, ready to eat some dinner. So I will post again later this week. Hopefully I get another book or two read in the course of the week, and have a couple more things for the weekly wrap up for you. So in the meantime, so long. it is Saturday, so it is time to finish this weekly wrap up and wrap it up liberally so I can get it ready and posted tomorrow. So I finished another book this week. This week has been, oh my goodness, December is insane, y'all. So we have basketball, and the boys are in now 2 different teams because one is on the high school team and one is on the middle school team. And so some nights that means back-to-back games, back-to-back practices, on top of our usual evening schedule of me giving piano lessons, my son getting piano lessons, etc., 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 all the other things we've got going on in life that happen anyway. You know, and somewhere in there we have to do the things like the grocery shopping, oh yeah, and the Christmas present shopping, and etc. So, yeah, it's been crazy. And so I've literally been reading in stolen snatches of time. So I am working on The Mystery of Mysteries, the book that I mentioned in my previous update about Edgar Allan Poe. I'm honestly finding it a little bit hard to track because I am reading in snatches, and every chapter is in a different, like it's not going chronologically through Edgar Allan Poe's life. Like, it's about how he died. So every other chapter is about the time period, like the couple months in the year that he passed away and the things leading up to his death and investigating what happened there. And then every alternate chapter is a time period from his history, like, you know, his growing up. And so I'm having a hard time tracking with it because I'm not like sitting down and reading it, you know, all in one stretch. So it's been difficult for me. It's all interesting and fascinating, but it mentions, you know, these people that I'm obviously supposed to know something about. I'm like, who is that? And then I have to look up in the book or whatever. So it's interesting, but I'm about 30% of the way through and it's not going as quickly as I would have thought. So I'm still trying to finish that one, but I did finish The Belle of Belgrave Square. So this is the second book in Meaning Matthew's, what does she call this series? It has a name. The Bells of, what? Bells, it is The Bells of London Novels. The Bells of London Novels. And I read the first one in the series earlier this year, and my sister lent me this one. I read this for Historathon 4.0. Totally escapes me at the moment which prompt it was for and which of the 3 hosts had made the prompt. But anyways, I'll link to all of the hosts and everything in the description box below. But this one I did finish and I did enjoy it. I'm gonna give it probably 4 stars on Goodreads. Haven't written my review yet, but it was pretty good overall. The actual story, I really liked the characters. I enjoyed. So other things that I loved about the book. So I loved that she had a lot of bookish references, and the storyline itself was like there's an obvious Beauty and the Beast element, there's a Bluebeard element, and some of them are more obvious than others, and then she tells in the back some other books and stories that she drew inspiration from when she was writing this novel. And so that was fun. But on top of that, the main character is an avid reader, and so there's a lot of talk about Victorian era books. So if you like Victorian literature, there's a lot of nods to that. And then there's a fictional author character in the story, so that's fun too. So I loved that. I loved all the bookish references, of course. Was a fun aspect to the story. Mimi Matthews actually, she crammed a lot into this book, a lot of different elements and plot ideas and nods to other stories and themes, whatever. There's a lot crammed in the book. That was one thing that I really liked. I like also how in this series, and she has done this with other series as well, I like how she has like 4 characters in the series, and each book in the series is focusing on one of the characters, but you also see, and it's from the perspective of one of the characters, but the other books also will give you information about the character, will tell you about the character. So we're first introduced to the girl in this story. We are first introduced to the girl in this story in the first book. Brain, what is it called? Siren of Sussex? Was that what it's called? Yes, that was it. We're gonna go with that. The Siren of Sussex was the first book in the series. And we see the girl in this story, girl, brain, tongue, talk, Julia. Julia is her name. We first see Julia in the first book in the series, The Siren of Sussex. Wow. Okay, took me a while to get there, but we got there. Anyway, so in that book, when you meet Julia, I didn't find her a super sympathetic character at the time. I was a little bit put off by her, but kind of like, okay, yeah, whatever, that's fine. I'm glad that they're friends with her because, you know, she needs some friends in her life. But reading from her perspective, you get to know her better, and so you develop a lot more empathy for her character and how she is the way she is, etc. And then the same thing with the gentleman in the story. He is initially seems like, you know, not just a bad guy rogue kind of guy, but like a straight up villain, like, you know, a mean and nasty, he's gonna cut your throat in the dead of night sort of guy. But he's really not that at all. And you figure that out very early on in the story. Like, Julia doesn't necessarily. I mean, she senses that he is a genuinely good guy, but she thinks that, well, maybe he's changed from what his reputation is, and, you know, she's able to look past like the disfigurement of his face and everything. But she doesn't know that he's really not at all who she thinks he is, but you know, like right away from the beginning of the story, you realize from this one. So anyway, I feel like that's I do like a good bad guy to good guy kind of trope. I don't know, I don't remember what the, you know, it's commonly called, but, you know, when you have a guy who seems like a bad guy, but he's really not, he's really a good guy at heart. So I liked that. And this storyline was interesting, and Mimi Matthews always picks the most interesting situations for her characters to be in, and the most interesting plots, and the most interesting like career choices for her characters. So it's always fun to read from that perspective. It's not just all like, you know, rich nobility hanging out, you know, doing crazy stuff. There's always like something unique there. So I like that. There was one other thing I wanted to mention before I get to the things that I didn't love as much. Oh, yes. The other thing that I liked, again, she's pulling characters from other books and giving them like little cameo appearances. And one of them is a very interesting character from one of her other series, Mr. Finchley, who is a lawyer. And he is one of her most interesting characters, I think. And I can see why she wants to, you know, revisit him and bring him back into stories, because he's an intriguing guy. So he makes a cameo appearance in this book, which is fun. So that was a fun read. I enjoyed that one. And apparently the next one in the series seems to be set at a Christmas house party. So it's not specifically a Christmas novel though. So, and I think that one is out. I think it's only the fourth one that's not out quite yet. So I may try to read the next book in this series, you know, just add it to my extremely long December TBR. No worries. Anyways, looks like an interesting read. To the things that I did not like, there's really only one thing that I'm going to mention, and that is that it's definitely a closed door novel, but I feel like, and it's the only Mimi Matthews novel that I feel this way about, I feel that it crossed a line from being clean. And so there's no graphic description of intimate scenes, but there's definitely a lot of discussion of, and yearning and longing and all that kind of stuff. So that was, there was one other book she wrote that I felt got really close to crossing that line, but didn't quite. And this one I felt like it got there. So anyway, that's something to be aware of. And there are a couple of mild cuss words in there, just so you know, if you are concerned about those things, content warnings. So just something to be aware of. And the reason why I'm not going to give it a full 5 stars. And honestly, I'm enjoying the series and I'm going to finish the series, but probably not my favorite series of hers, and not one that I'd be like, oh, you've got to read it, like, you know, best books ever. So, but I am enjoying them, and it was a good read. So now it is December 2nd, second day of December. I wanted to start reading the Christmas things yesterday because it was December 1st, right? But first of all, I wanted to finish this more, so I needed to finish up the last few chapters of that. Secondly, we were out of the house from 6:45 in the morning until 9:30 at night. We went from school to basketball games to choir practice and then home. So yeah, I did not get much reading done, so I didn't get my Christmas reading started, but I started today. I picked up by Toni, Shiloh, so You Make It Feel Like Christmas, I think. I'm just in the first chapter, so started that today. I was all thinking that I would have some time to read. I had a table at a Christmas market this morning, and I was thinking, oh, you know, it might be kind of slow, and I'll read in between. Got like 5 sentences in, but good for business, right? So that was nice. Anyway, so yeah, that was my reading today. This evening, I am hoping that my husband and I will go on a little date night. Our town has a Christmas tree lighting sort of ceremony. But what's more fun is that, you know, walking around the downtown at night, and they have really cool Christmas lights up, and there's, you know, the shops stay open a little bit later often because of the tree lighting, and it's just fun to walk around. So it's a fun little date night. I'm hoping to be able to do that tonight. I may take some quick video clips if we go and tack those on to the end here. But otherwise, this is it, and I will close off for now. And I hope everybody has a fabulous December with lots of fun reading. And I will be back later this week with a couple of Christmassy themed videos. So I will see you then. Hit the like, or please, even better, leave a comment and give me your thoughts if you've read these books, if you agree with my assessment of any of them, and if you're interested in reading any of them. And also let me know what you've been reading this week, and if there's anything you think that I would enjoy. And I will talk to you next time. Bye. You even say it goes.